Hey guys, in this lecture we will discuss the fundamentals of X-ray production. The production of X-ray involves the bombardment of a thick target with these energetic electrons. The electrons will undergo a certain interaction within the target. It may involve complex collisions and scattering processes, and during the slowing down process, the result can be Bremsstrahlung X-ray or characteristic X-ray. This is a simplified approach in discussing this process, and this mainly involves the interaction of the incoming electron with the nucleus or its interaction with the electron of the target. Going back to our energetic electrons, it is mostly slowed down in matter by collisions and excitation interactions. If an electron comes close to an atomic nucleus of the target, the attractive Coulomb forces causes a change of the electron's trajectory. An accelerated electron or an electron changing its direction emits electromagnetic radiation, and this is called Bremsstrahlung. As shown here, we have our incident electron 1, 2, and 3. The one here uh, has an impact with the nucleus and it emits the maximum possible energy, while number 2 is somehow have a close interaction with the nucleus. It emits moderate energy. And last, the third one, the third electron is somehow distant with respect to our nucleus, so it emits this lower energy of X-rays or Bremsstrahlung. And Bremsstrahlung is actually a radiative energy loss by electrons as it slows down on the passage through a material. Bremsstrahlung is a German word and it comes from the term Bremsen, meaning to break, and Strahlung, meaning radiation. So thus, we have braking radiation or deceleration radiation. And this is just an electromagnetic radiation produced by the deceleration of a certain charged particle, let's say an electron, when deflected by another charged particle due to the Coulombic field. Typically, an electron and by an atomic nucleus. The moving particle loses kinetic energy, which is converted into radiation. It's a photon, thus satisfying the law of conservation of energy. And Bremsstrahlung radiation is a continuous spectrum. Let us now discuss Bremsstrahlung in terms of classical theory. Consider an electron bombarding a thin target. So it will yield a constant energy fluence psi from 0 up to the initial kinetic electron energy T, as shown in the figure. And what if, instead of a thin target, we bombard a thick target, or it's just a stack of thin targets with an electron? So what will be our graph of the energy fluence against the photon energy? For a thick target, it will produce a Bremsstrahlung spectrum as shown, and this is a probability distribution of X-ray photons as a function of photon energy in kilo electron volt. The energy of the Bremsstrahlung photons may take any value between 0 and up to the maximum kinetic energy of the incident electrons T. This is an ideal spectrum, and thick target, we have this continuous linear spectrum, which is just a stack of the thin target spectrum we have shown previously. In this model, an increase in electron energy increases the number of thin layers in each radiating X-rays. The radiation output of this case is proportional to the tube voltage or to the square of the tube voltage. This is a better illustration of the Bremsstrahlung spectrum compared to my previous drawings. So sorry for that. So for letter A, we have the unfiltered Bremsstrahlung spectrum. It shows an inverse linear relationship between the number or the relative output of X-rays and the energy of X-rays in kilo electron volts. If we place a filter, let's say aluminum filter, somewhere at the output of your X-ray tube, we will produce this letter B, this red Bremsstrahlung spectrum here, wherein we have no X-rays below 10 kilo electron volt. And this lower part of your spectra here, it is not useful in producing your medical image, but it contributes to the dose of the patient. Then we have this letter C, wherein we have the average energy of your Bremsstrahlung spectrum, somewhere one third or one half of the maximum energy, which is the initial energy of your electron. Next is characteristic radiation. It involves discrete X-ray energy peaks that depends on target electrode and tube voltage. And we have also here the electron binding energies that are characteristic of the element. It depends on the target element, and it involves the transition of orbital shell electron to fill the vacancy. And this is usually superimposed with the Bremsstrahlung spectrum. A fast electron colliding with an electron of an atomic shell could knock out the orbital electron once its kinetic energy exceeds the binding energy of that electron in that specific shell we're in. For this case, we have the electron from the K shell, which is the most innermost shell with the highest binding energy. We have this ejected K shell electron, and this scattered primary electron carries away the difference of the kinetic energy and the binding energy. This vacancy here in the shell is then filled with an electron from an outer shell accompanied by the emission of X-ray photon in the form of characteristic X-ray, with the energy equivalent to the difference in the binding energies of these two shells. So first we have this ideal Bremsstrahlung spectrum for a tungsten anode with a tube voltage of 90 kilovolts. Then letter B, we have an actual spectrum at the beam exit port, and this is the Bremsstrahlung spectrum superimposed with the characteristic X-ray. Last, letter C, we have the spectrum filtered with an equivalent 2.5 millimeter aluminum, wherein we cancel the lower part of your spectrum that is not useful in medical imaging. Other than the production of characteristic X-ray, we could also have OJ electron instead, and it depends on the value of the Z, the atomic number of the material. Hey guys, I hope you have learned something in this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing my YouTube channel, GP Academia. And if you're new in YouTube, there is a button right down below this video. Just click that to subscribe. See you then. Bye guys.